Welcome to Vsb News Online for Thursday, May 28th. I'm Peter Kittel. Lawyer Simone Smith-Bean claimed in Magistrates Court this morning that in prosecuting opposition leader Mark Bean for using offensive language, the Crown was being used as a political tool by the Bermuda government. Her client pleaded not guilty to the charge, which stemmed from a conversation he is alleged to have had at the Sands South by-election polling station on November 6 last year, in which he called Tony Daniels, a former UBP senator, a political whore. Today's hearing before Magistrate Kamisi Tukumbo was attended by several PLP figures, including Deputy Leader David Burt, Wayne Ferbert, Diallo Rabane, Walter Roban, Zane De Silva, and Mark Daniels. Mr. Bean was released on $5,000 bail and asked to return on July the 3rd. The assertions made by Shadow Immigration Minister Walton Brown about work permit violations among welders at the King Edward Hospital have been quickly rubbished by the company involved and criticized by the minister. Brian Darby has the story.
In response to Mr. Brown's allegations, the Bermuda Air Conditioning Company has come forward and said the speculative assertions of multiple violations made by Mr. Brown are incorrect as to fact. There are a total of 4 employees at the King Edward site. The work that is being carried out is very specialized, given the job involves the complexity of tying the old and new hospital together. And the particular position in this case requires a combined knowledge of pipe fitting and welding. The position was advertised as required, and the advertisement clearly stated that both pipe fitting and welding is a requirement of the position, amongst other things such as a knowledge of steam and condensation systems. VAC said it looked forward to cooperating fully with any inquiry by any regulatory or government body. And the Minister of Home Affairs, Michael Fahey, responded, "It is regrettable that the Shadow Minister has taken it upon himself to name and shame an alleged violator of immigration policies before the matter has even been investigated and a finding made. In my view, it would be far more of a public service for MP Brown to bring relevant information to the attention of the Chief Immigration Officer, who can take steps required to verify the authenticity of the complaint being made rather than running to the press." Brian Darby reporting for Vsb News.
Hurricane Awareness Week starts on Monday, and in view of the surprise double whammy suffered by Bermuda in October of last year, the Bermuda Weather Service is hoping that the community won't mind being told once again to be prepared. Deputy Director James Dodson spoke about the predictions of a quiet year in 2015.
This is our Hurricane Awareness Week where we're reaching out to the community, as you said, and El Niño does have an impact on the hurricane season. The hurricane season officially begins 1st of June, runs through right till the end of November, and we have actually had already Tropical Storm Ana that developed last month. That was just ahead of the beginning of the season. But the deal with El Niño is it's a big climatological effect, weather effect phenomenon, if you like, that affects the winds across the Atlantic region, the tropical Atlantic region, where these tropical storms and hurricanes develop. And what it is the vertical winds, the shear in those winds, and they rip apart the storm as it's trying to develop in that tropical Atlantic. So because of that, we don't get as many tropical storms and hurricanes developing in the tropical Atlantic region, and that's why a lot of these agencies, such as NOAA, are going for a below active season this year. However, for our region, we may not get those long-track tropical storms and hurricanes coming up from the Atlantic, but we will be more likely to see pop-up storms, tropical storms and hurricanes, much like we did last season, developing in our general area in the West Atlantic on the western side of the Bermuda Azores high pressure. So we are certainly not out of the woods, and just because we're seeing those figures coming out now saying it's below average season, we still need to maintain hurricane preparedness and certainly not to be complacent.
So after we've been through October last year, there's no ho-hum about this need to talk about it?
I don't think so, no. I think all we can take away from that is whether the last season was actually predicted to be a below average season for similar reasons as this season with El Niño and some lower than average sea surface temperatures in the tropical Atlantic. And despite all of that, we still were affected heavily, as you said, in October. So even if it is a less than average season, we're still at risk. And what's interesting about last season was all the figures came out at the end of the season, and they did conclude that overall the activity was less than average. But the activity that happened over us, unfortunately. And so that's why we have to always maintain that preparedness each season.
Well, it's a new thing for you with all your experience. First time you had 2 hurricanes in 1 week.
Certainly, yes. I mean, I've been here 8.5 years now, and that's certainly the most dramatic weather I've seen since I've been here.
What did we learn from that?
We learned that we must always be prepared during the season. It begins now. I encourage all your listeners, all your viewers to think about their hurricane preparedness plan for their family, their business, their homes, and continue being prepared right through the season, right through to the end of November. There was talk, I know, last season about the figures being below average and, we're coming into October, not much has happened. Obviously, we need to maintain that preparedness through October and indeed November, because the season doesn't officially end till the end of November.
In a sidebar to hurricane awareness, the Department of Civil Aviation confirmed today that repairs to the Doppler weather radar, which has been out of service since February, are unlikely to be completed until mid-August, meaning an important source of weather information will be denied to the Bermuda Weather Service. However, Airport General Manager Aaron Adderley has given the assurance that the BWS is still able to forecast such weather phenomena as thunderstorms, squalls, and hurricanes with some accuracy by using satellite imagery, radio sound information, and weather modeling. Plus, they have the support of the U.S. National Hurricane Center. And we'll be back with more news right after this.
The Marketplace Food Court is you and your family's one-stop shop. Start your day at the Breakfast Bar with omelets made to order and traditional Bermuda codfish breakfast. The chefs will cook lunch and dinner to your liking. Along with the salad bar, sandwich bar, sushi bar, and fruit bar, the Marketplace Food Court is your kitchen away from home. Every day is hassle-free with nutritious meals from the Marketplace Food Court. Visit us 7 days a week. Homemade cooking, quality service, all at prices you can count on.
4 young Bermudians today joined the 12-week Technology Leadership Forum summer internship launched by the Minister of Economic Development, Dr. Grant Gibbons. Their mission to be inspired and developed into Bermuda's future information communications technology leaders. The program has graduated some 45 interns over the past 7 years, and the Minister, along with Vice Chairman of the Technology Leadership Forum, Ronald Vera, comment on the importance of the program.
I think it's very important, and as you know, this is the sort of the 7th internship, and I think so far there are about 40 graduates which have gone through the program. And ICT, information communication technology, is clearly a very important part of Bermuda's economy. It supports a lot of the service industries, international business, local business, and I think the opportunity that this presents to young Bermudians to get into this 13-week sort of intensive period where they're actually working for a variety of companies. This year I think it's CCS, Logic, Nova, and ACT. Working with professionals in the industry and actually encountering what I would call real-life problems and issues. It's such a great learning experience, and obviously this morning when we launched it, I encouraged them to seize the opportunity and to really make this fundamental part of their sort of career progress and career opportunity.
Are companies sort of poised to take them on after the 12 weeks?
Well, I can't speak for all the graduates, but my sense is that oftentimes a company that has sponsored a particular intern over the summer will then go on to hire them because they obviously are used to them. They've spent time and effort to train them, and so it provides them with a good foundation where they can both sides can understand what the potential is. So the answer is yes. I think there are companies that are looking for young Bermudians in this sector.
We have many more applicants than we do interns. We try to maintain quite a high standard for the program. But what we look for is obviously academic achievement. Many of the interns are they're either in university or have graduated from university, so academic achievement. And also the willingness to work hard and the eagerness to learn more. I think that's the most important part. The academic stuff is sort of the important, but also they have to want to learn more. Coming out of university, yes, you have a degree of knowledge, but there's nothing like, you have to have work experience.
Opposition leader in the Senate, Diallo Rabane, had to withdraw his remarks when he suggested that Human Affairs Minister Michael Fay was misleading people with the suggestion that unemployment figures among construction workers were going down.
It doesn't help when we have statements like there's only 12 unemployed masons. And the minister talked about it, being disingenuous, if you say with that statement. But what I'm saying is, when you stand up and say, we only have 12 people registered locally, that's what the people hear. And they think it's like, whoa, there's more than 12 masons unemployed. And, they're like, well, and one of the things that I was told directly from one of the unemployed guys was that, all they're going to do is use me for a statistic. That sort of thing. It make it seem like they're doing something, but they're not really doing anything. So that's a sort of level of distrust that we have that's going on right now. And we need to figure out how to get around that. We really need to figure out how to get around that, because our people need employment. We need the government to create an environment that the people feel comfortable enough to come and say, hey, let me come and sign up for these opportunities. We can't continue to throw out these photo ops. We can't continue to throw out these wonderful statements that mean nothing to the people who really need the assistance. What they do is they make the 1 billion line seem like they're doing something to a certain segment of the community, but the people who really, really need that help need a little bit more than photo ops.
Senator Fay said that his figures were accurate and that signs of increased activity in the workforce and from America's Cup-related matters were everywhere.
We know that there's tens upon dozens and dozens and dozens of people have already moved to Bermuda with their families. They're renting apartments, they're buying cars. That's already will cause an injection right into the economy. And as I've said before, in terms of not necessarily America's Cup, but just as a matter of course, we have to keep making the case that there are more Bermudians getting employed, and a positive economic indicator is also there's more work permits being given out. And what does that mean? We've seen the statistics from, say, 2008, where you have a lot of work permits. That also means more Bermudians employed. When you have less work permits being given out, there's higher unemployment. So there's an absolute correlation between the two, and we're very pleased to see that, in our view, we see less people registered with workforce development, and we're also seeing work permits increase.
So the comment that was made in the Senate today that people are afraid of going to the workforce and think is a bit hard to understand, isn't it?
It is. I'm disappointed if people say they can't trust the Department of Workforce Development. We have great staff there who are prepared to assist individuals get back into the workforce through training opportunities and helping them along with their CV application, their CVs and applications for employment. Again, we've seen tremendous figures where the number of individuals registered in certain categories have decreased. Now, we think that's tremendous.
Dr. Michael Weidekamp, Chief of Staff at the Bermuda Hospitals Board, said today that the board supports the U.S. mammography guidelines, which were based on evidence derived from voluminous research involving hundreds of thousands of women from multiple countries and sponsored by neutral authorities. The guidelines, he said, will still allow decisions made by women and their physicians when reviewing their individual circumstances, and women can receive mammograms prior to 50 if their physicians refer them. Women who have known risk factors can also have mammograms earlier, and any woman showing potential symptoms will be screened irrespective of age. It is women with no known risk factors who will be screened every 2 years between the ages of 50 and 74, as is done in Canada, Australia, and the UK. And now we turn to Earl Baisden for the latest from the Sports Desk.
Confusion and scandal continue into a second day as football's governing body, FIFA, opened its annual Congress in Switzerland despite warnings from sponsors that they may review ties over the arrest of 7 top officials on corruption charges. Bermuda Football Association officials, including President Larry Musselman, First Vice President Mark Wade, Second Vice President Gregory Grimes, and Executive Member Cranston Williams, have all taken their seats. President Musselman is in the capacity as chairman of the electoral committee that will run the elections for the position of FIFA presidency. A report released by the U.S. Department of Justice has alleged that CONCACAF President Jeffrey Webb used part of the funds collected from bribes in 2012 to pay for work on a swimming pool at a property in Georgia. Webb, who is among 7 of the officials arrested in Zurich, Switzerland yesterday, faces a 47-count indictment issued by a federal court in Brooklyn, New York on Wednesday. The 14 defendants in total were charged with racketeering, wire fraud, money laundering, conspiracies, among other offenses in connection with what the body describes as a 24-year scheme to enrich themselves through corruption of international football. It is also alleged the amount was paid to an account controlled by Costas Takas, a longtime associate of Webb and the former general secretary of the Cayman Islands Football Association. The transactions was one of only several listed, as it is alleged Webb received a U.S. $1.1 million bribe to award the 2012 Gold Cup Champions League contract to Traffic USA, and a further $2 million US for the 2013 Gold Cup. The president and several other CONCACAF officials are also said to have received millions more for the Copa America Centenario competition. The 2015 Appleby Bermuda Half Marathon Derby award ceremony took place at the National Sports Center Pavilion last evening, where Chris and Ashley Estwanick picked up the male and female trophies, with Ashley stating the West has some work to do to compete with the crowds in the East End.
Coming from St. George's was amazing. It really was. I have to say, the West End has some practice to do in the next year. If we're doing back and forth, is that what's going to happen? So yeah, coming from the East End was pretty awesome. I know a lot of people were reluctant for the change, but it was amazing. The support was incredible. So thank you for making that happen.
Chris thanked all those involved on behalf of the participants.
I think just on behalf of all the runners, we spend an awful lot of time out training by ourselves in the dark, early mornings, lots of honks throughout the year to get us through, but I think what makes Bermuda Day so special is that you can just relax and have fun, and I think you saw it with all the athletes out there. It's kind of a culmination of a lot of hard work, and we finally get to showcase all the training we've done to the entire island. So people that don't know anything about running come out, and they're intrigued as to what makes all these crazy people decide to do this. So it's great. The community, the culture in Bermuda is contagious, and I hope hundreds and hundreds of years from now they'll be talking about us slow guys up here. Remember those guys used to run in they'll be sub-hour by that point. So anyways, thank you to everybody. It was another fun week.
As we've previously reported, Tyler Smith was crowned the NJCAA Women's Tennis National Champion in singles and doubles. We asked Bermuda Lawn Tennis Association President Michael Wolf about her year and her future in Bermuda tennis.
I would have to agree with you. Tyler Smith did have a very good year, and I'd like to first of all congratulate her on her performance. Her college repeated as division champions, which is no small feat, so that's quite a good achievement. With regards to Tyler and representing Bermuda, it can only strengthen our teams going forward. Our Fed Cup team and any international team we have, having her on that roster certainly adds strength to that team.
Now, I want to just talk about the women's side, because I think the men's side is very strong right now. Competition right up to number 6 or 7. But on the women's side, we have quite a few of these young ladies that are abroad playing in colleges, and we have some up-and-coming youngsters. You give it maybe 2 or 3 years before we can see the full potential of a strong, very strong Bermuda women's tennis competition going on?
Yeah, I think the women's competition, there are some strong players there. Once they're back on the island, that again is going to add to the tournaments and the depth of the tournaments. We also have some good juniors coming through, the likes of a Kayla Ming or an Imani Phillips, who are showing a lot of potential, which is ideal for Bermuda, because that means we're going to have depth going forward, and we should be, within our division, a formidable foe for several years to come.
30 boats went to the start line for race day 5 of the Wednesday night sailing series that gets underway in the Hamilton Harbor. With a spinnaker start, the winds picked up just as the horn sounded to start the race, and the action began with no less than 4 boats almost capsizing. Crossfire crossed the line first with a time of 101.47, and with a corrected time of 107.46, saw them finish 4th on the night. Nasty Medicine was the second boat to cross the line, clocking a time of 102.57. Their corrected time of 108.40 saw them finish 8th on the night. The third boat to cross the line was Cyclone, clocking 1:10.25, and with a corrected time of 1:12.51, saw them finish 16th on the night. Man of War were declared the winners for the night with a corrected time of 1:06.03 after recording a time of 1:11.27. Smokin' finished second on the night with a corrected time of 1:06.51, and Honey Badger was third on the night with a corrected time of 1:07.42, making it a Viper 6:40, 1, 2, and 3 for the night. Mayhem rounded out the top 5 finishers with a corrected time of 1:08.66. I'm Earl Basden reporting for VSB Sports.
Looking at the weather for Friday, May 29th, it will be mostly cloudy with occasional shower activity. Winds will be easterly, moderate to strong, easing moderate by late night. We are expecting a high near 77 Fahrenheit and a low near 70 Fahrenheit. This weather forecast is the courtesy of the Bermuda Weather Service. Thanks for watching VSB News Online for Thursday, May 28th. I'm Peter Kitzel.